Estoy acá, es un placer para mí, desde Sonidos de Broadway, presentar a David Serero. Es un cantante de ópera, actor, director, productor, aclamado por la crítica, ganador de innumerables premios. David ha realizado más de 2.500 funciones en más de 45 países, ha dirigido y producido cerca de 100 producciones teatrales, protagonizado más de 100 películas y series de televisión. Ha trabajado en los principales teatros del mundo. En New York protagonizó en el Off-Broadway papeles icónicos como Shylock, Cyrano de Bergerac, Otelo, Barrabás, Yiddish King Lear, Don Giovanni, Fígaro, Romeo, Nabucco, así como originals, plays, espectáculos originales como Napoleón, Queen Esther, Anna Frank, el musical, entre otros. En su París natal también interpretó a Don Quijote en Man of la Mancha. David es miembro votante de los premios Grammy y Emmy. En 2020 recibió el premio UNESCO a la diversidad en París, se convirtió en miembro honorario de las Naciones Unidas de las Artes y las Ciencias, ganador de 4 premios Broadway World. En 2021, su primer documental sobre el diseñador de moda Eli Tahari recibió cerca de 100 selecciones en festivales de cine. Ganó docenas de premios, incluyendo Mejor Director, Mejor Documental, y ha dado conciertos en París, en la Ópera Garnier, Olimpia, en la Torre Eiffel, en New York, en el Lincoln Center, en Times Square, en el Carnegie Hall. Ha dado la vuelta al mundo, ha estado en el West End londinense, en el Dominion Theatre. ¿En qué lugar no ha estado David? Produjo y arregló su propio show, I Wish You Love, un álbum de estándar de jazz para Jermaine Jackson. Compartió la portada de Theater and Performances con Barbara Streisand en Londres, hizo su debut en el Off-Broadway de New York, interpretó a Nabucco, papeles principales en el Carnegie Hall. Bueno, un poco de todo eso vamos a hablar en esta entrevista. Welcome, David. It's an honor for me.
¿Cómo, cómo estás, señor?
Muy bien. You do a lot of things around the world, the planet. You conquer the world.
Oh, no, no, I wish, just me. No, no, I'm happy to do what I do, and I'm so happy to be with you, Gaston, because what you do is absolutely amazing. I know all the great things you do, the great production you do, and your passion for Broadway, for musicals, is absolutely amazing. The way you sharing it on the biggest Facebook page and group, Sonidos de Broadway, you know.
Yeah,
So
right.
I'm a huge fan, and
Your
you're
Spanish is good. I know it's good.
no, no, because you're sharing your passion of Broadway to all the beautiful
Yes.
people of Latin America, and I think that's just wonderful.
Okay, okay. Um, Siempre, David, let's talk about your Moroccan Jewish origins. How is that since Morocco you have toured practically the entire planet with your performances? Jewish for Morocco and the entire world. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, I've been lucky that I realized that with my profession I could travel. You know, it's not that I'm doing just French songs. I'm doing all kind of repertoire, and I realized that all the languages, they are a chance for us to bring our knowledge. And you know, there's been that thing for all over the years of Jews traveling, you know.
Yes.
We invented the word immigration, I think. But
The story of our people.
exactly,
Walking,
exactly.
walking.
No, that's true. And I've always loved, you know, to go for new opportunities because by the same way you improve a lot by traveling, but also you also meet new people and you get new ideas. And this was the first time when you came to my show in Buenos Aires last week. I can't believe it's a week ago, but it felt really, really good because, by example, I was able to meet you, and I think that's something really a great gift. And I learned a lot also when I was in Buenos Aires because I listened to a lot of tango, and I was like, wow, I love that music. I want to record and sing more tango. So all these traveling are such a great opportunity, and I never say no, to especially to go to a new adventure like that. So that's why probably.
And now you are from France, from New York,
Yeah.
from where do you live?
Honestly, I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
No, I'm from Paris. I was born in a small town outside of Paris, beautiful city, and actually, 3 weeks ago, I was named Citizen of Honor of that small town, and I received a medal of the city. Name of the city is Shell, and that's where I grew up. Then, after I moved to Paris, started to have a career in Paris, but I
So
live
yeah,
in New
your
York.
parents are from Morocco,
Yes, absolutely.
but you born in Paris
I
or
was
in Port.
born in Paris. Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
absolutely. In the suburbs of Paris, but I was born
Suburbs.
in and then after I moved to New York because I was passionate of theater and American music and American culture and all of that, and I went to New York and I was like, okay, that's what I want to do.
How you discover the American musicals,
Well,
that culture?
I discovered really randomly because I moved to New York where I was originally doing pop music. I was doing piano bar. I was very good at it when I was 16, 17 to sit on the piano and sing songs. Now I'm incapable of doing it, but before that's what I used to do. So I started to write music, go to New York, and then in New York, so I was 20-year-old when I moved to New York, I think, or 19, I forgot. And I moved there and I started to do theater, because my friend at that time, with whom I was sharing a room in Harlem, was doing theater. So I went to theater and I started to love it. And I started to read Shakespeare and I started to read all these great authors and passion for reading and learning and grabbing data, grabbing information. I was really catching stuff. And then, one day people told me, look, you sing, you do theater, you should check out musicals. And in New York, it's hard to avoid musicals. So I went there. That's, how it started. And after doing musicals for like 2, 3 years, people told me, you really have a voice for opera. You should check it out. And one night I went to the opera and I said, that's what I want to do. But musicals always was in my mind forever, because for me musical is really the health of the voice. It's really because you can get lost so easily into the opera by going and with musicals you get back to finding great color in the voice, and that's really what fascinates me.
Yes. New York is the promised land of the musicals. So,
Totally.
some people don't like, some people from the opera don't like musicals. There's a kind of fight between the people of opera and the people of the musicals.
Mm. Yeah, I agree with you. It used to be a lot like this. Now, not anymore.
Okay.
And in the fight between musicals and opera, musicals have won. I think operas, they should, and I'm a consultant a lot for a lot of opera companies, so I can tell you, but Broadway musicals, they understood better how to bring an audience, how to develop an audience, and how to make the show very effective and how to make it fun, because most of the musicals, they cannot waste money, because most of the musicals, they are privately funded by the producer. But opera, a lot of them are funded by the city, the government. They're giving money, they have um, sponsorship, they have things like that. For musicals, it's not at all like this. So they have to sell tickets and they have to bring people to the room. But do you know Bryn Terfel? Bryn
No.
Terfel is okay. You would check him out. He's extraordinary baritone, bass baritone, like the greatest in the world. And I was with him actually like 3 weeks ago, I interviewed him for a new movie I'm doing. And he is the one who, I think it was in the 90s, that he recorded. He was already a strong, established baritone opera singer. He started to record Broadway musicals, but he sang it with the same voice that he was using for opera and vice versa. But in the US, if you had baritones like Robert Merrill, who was very strong broad opera singer, he sang also a lot of Broadway musicals. So it depends. Not all Broadway musicals can fit for operatic voice, like a musical like Waitress, for example, or Wicked. It can be very difficult, but stuff like Roger Hammerstein, like My Fair Lady, this is
Yes.
Fiddler on the
The,
Roof.
the origins of Broadway, Rodgers and Hammersteins, are like operas, and
Oh, yeah.
songs like Some Enchanted Evening,
Yeah.
or Almond River, Some Enchanted Evening.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing well.
You
And
need.
Old Man River is actually one of my favorite, but really musicals really helped me to get definitely a better singer. That is for sure. And actually, I went even further than that. I sang also the Sinatra or the jazz standards, and that also benefited me when I did after opera, because you need sometimes something to wash your voice and wash your ears and sing something else. So that's for me. But definitely both world now combined, you have a lot of opera singers. Sometimes when they don't have work, they go to audition for Broadway musicals, and I'm so happy about that. The other way is more difficult, like Broadway singers who go for opera is more difficult. But the other way around is very good, because opera is a very serious and very strong technique. So usually it helps for the Broadway repertoire.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. And you have always been involved in Jewish topics, as far as I know. Many of the characters that you have interpreted in musicals or operas are Jewish people. Moses, Otto Frank, Yiddish King Lear, and Queen Esther's the king,
Mm.
always with Jewish roots. Let's talk about that, please.
Absolutely. Well, I can play anything, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. In movies, I played a terrorist, I played a Latin lover, I played a comic, I played Napoleon, I played, all kind of roles, and that's the beauty of theater. Now, a lot of the productions that I've been doing recently, especially over the last 5 years, I would say, are productions, of course, besides COVID, but are productions where I decided to do it. Like I was the one going to the venue, putting it all together, saying, okay, I would like to do a Jewish version of Romeo and Juliet, and then writing the script, of course, based on the plot of Shakespeare. But really building the whole show in my mind, from the staging to the production to the costumes to casting the specific actors that I wanted in the show to the choice of songs that I was adding into it. So it's been always, my I would say my great pleasure to bring that to the culture. Plus, if I don't do it, then who else, in a way? Because um, I feel, close to the Jewish culture, but I'm using the Jewish culture to bring everyone in. But I would say, when you're saying if I were a rich man, you cannot teach the this is because I know what it means, the because
It's
it's
in
what
the
my
blood.
dad my
Blood.
dad was taking me. He was like, yeah, so I know all this stuff. I know when I play Shylock, which is one of my favorite roles. I know what it feels to be when I grew up as a Jew in France and people spitting on you because you're a Jew. So I've known that, I've experienced that, but I hold zero, anger from the past or anything like that. But that's something. And after, what I love is to take like classical pieces like Othello from Shakespeare, which I adapted in a Jewish Moroccan style, so adding some Jewish Moroccan music. So I would tell you, it's not like Jewish thing. It's more classical that I make with my little touch. So in my touch, there is Jewish, but there is also opera, classical theater. There is also stand-up comedy. There is also the Jewish comedy in it. There is all of that, the French, the Moroccan comedy, the acting, all of that. And then I mix it and then I do something unique because I realize that there are a lot of great, great, great opera singers. And, and not all of them either have work or not all of them, are satisfied doing what they want to do. And I realize, we're all gonna die one day. I hope the later for me, but I want to accomplish all the things that I want to and create all these great
Yeah,
pieces.
and this shows has original music or classical
So
music.
depends which ones. If it's like Shakespeare plays and that I adapt myself, then I like to take standards. I like to take, by example, when I did Romeo and Juliet in a
Yes.
Jewish style, when it was an Ashkenazi family against a Sephardic family, this was a huge success in New York. So I had the Ashkenazi family singing Yiddish stuff and the Sephardic family singing like Ladino Sephardic stuff. So but
Cool.
after, I love also to take new works, or works that's been done before, but kind of forgotten, or they've been produced once, but not everything was coming together. So I want to give it a fresh start. So there are a lot of musicals. You mentioned Anne Frank, so that's an original music. I just did the Ten Commandments, which was the biggest French musical of all time, which I adapted in English. Was the first time it was ever done. So this kind of stuff. And now I have the good thing is that I'm always available. People can reach out to me on social media. I always respond. My email is on my website, and people can always reach out to me. And I have these great musicals either written in Italy or in France or anywhere that they want me to bring to New York. And I think that's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and where about the actors you choose are from New York? You have your own company, or one day one of the
So
castings?
I have absolutely, I have my own production company, but I like to hire really specific actors for each roles. So of course, when I do a musical or a play, it's not usually, it cannot necessarily be the same actors because not all actors, they sing as good as they should be in a musical. So it depends. But I like to use really unique characters. Like, by example, I have a dear friend of mine, he's a wonderful stand-up comedian, and I gave him to do Shakespeare. And he never did Shakespeare, but the way he said Shakespeare, with the way he will talk on the stage, hey guys, how are you? How's everyone feeling? That was really a new take on Shakespeare, and I really love that. And when I do a musical, I bring also some opera singers. I bring also some musical theater trained singers. So, and I bring also actors who sing. Which is three type of singers in New York. But I take mostly New York singers. First you have to, but this is mostly what I do. Yeah.
Okay, I understand. And are limit run a couple of limit runs of performances?
Performances? Yeah. Well, it depends, about the piece. By example, sometimes when I did the Yiddish King Lear, I thought only a couple of performances was enough. Something for Napoleon, I thought it was enough, but people ask for it after. And so it depends, sometimes it's 10 performances, sometimes it's 5. It depends, but I don't do the 10 performances like one after the other. I spread them out during 2-3 months. So, the buzz goes out, and it gives you also time between performances to regenerate and to learn from the past performance and to listen to the recordings and be like, oh, I could have done this better, etc. And keep working on it. That's important for me.
The Ten Commandments, let's dig.
Les
is
Dix
one of my
Commandements. Yeah.
favorite
I did in
shows.
New York. That's the one I did in New York.
Yes, I know that, and
Yeah.
you told me about the English translation from a
It's more
French,
than a translation. It's really an adaptation,
and
total
you.
adaptation. Because the way, and I'm glad you're saying that, Gaston, is that the French musicals now they changed a lot, but back then in the early 2000s, the musicals what were songs after songs. There was no dialogues, So
Yes,
it's
like
really
an
a
opera, modern opera, pop.
yeah. Not like musical theater where you had theater, then after a song, then theater, then after a song.
Yes.
So I realized if I do that in the US, it's not going to work. It's not part of the culture. So that's why I created dialogues with Eddie
Ah,
Shuraki, the guy who created it. So he wrote the dialogues. Also, I did myself few dialogues, but I made it in the American style so that it sounds very effective, very sharp, and also there is a good flow in the lyrics that is not heavy in words, but also the lyrics, because the lyrics in French they are a lot like the sky is blue, where life will go, very philosophical, but in America the lyrics in musicals are more like I want to be, I will grow, this is the way I want, there's a lot like that. So I had to readjust also the lyrics to work in that sense. And every single night we had the standing ovation. It was a real,
wow,
really.
the songs of the Ten Commandments from Pascal Obispo are
Oh yeah,
are hits. I saw the DVD and the people sing in the stadium like anthem.
because what they did, and they were very, very smart, and they were the first one to do it at that time. Is that before that the show started, 1 year before, they released the album, they released the songs,
Oh, I
and the
understand.
songs went. Not maybe all of them, but at least 5 or 6 of them. They went number one on the radio. Which means, first of all, it helped them to sell out the big, stadium, as you say, these big halls. But also, when people started to sing it, everyone knew already the songs, which was the total opposite for me. And it was very difficult for me because when you're on stage, people were discovering the music, So but still I released like 2 songs before we started to do the show, so people had an idea of it. But yeah, this is definitely something that I recommend, is to release the music before the show opens.
Wow, great tip.
uh,
Like a concept album, like Angelo Weber and Tim Rice made with Jesus Christ Superstar or Evita. Oh,
it's so simple to love, so it was another thing, but also in the vocal culture that they had at that time. And in France, in New York, I had to make it more musical theater if I wanted to keep the musical in the long run, which is what we're trying to do now.
yes, that show is more rock pop, and
Yes,
that the
yeah,
songs are singing in a style like a pop singer,
yeah,
not opera. You
that's
did
true.
more opera, the
Yeah,
songs?
we did it. I did it more musical theater, which is between pop and between opera. So that was for me. What was important in that musical is really to bring it to the people of 2022, which is not the same people than 2001. You see TikTok, people wait 2 seconds, 3 seconds. It's not like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. So that was important for me to make it for the people of 2022, but also for the American culture, that people get into it. Definitely.
Oh, Daniel Levy, the original Moses, has passed away
I
very,
know, I know, I know.
and yeah, you met him.
I met him. Thank you. Yeah, I was actually the last one with whom he had an interview. So that was very special, because when you have a success, I always said the success is the result of an equation. Is this plus this plus this plus this, So for me, what was part of the success was also the interpreters, and the way Daniel Levy sang Moses was very, very important. There was something into the vocals, um, that I wanted to get after I decide whether or not I want to keep it. But I wanted at least to get the information. So he was very sweet. He was in the south of France, in Marseille, and he went all the way to Paris to spend one day with me. And he taught me, there is a video actually of the two of us
Yes, I
where
saw.
he's teaching me, yeah. And I was like on my knees near him, and at that time I barely finished the US adaptation. So I was still, trying to find my ways there and there to find the color. But he showed me so many stuff which are not on the video, but I hope one day we'll release the whole thing. But then after I interviewed for another movie I'm doing about Eddie Shuraki, the guy who had the idea originally of the Ten Commandments. So that's how I got to know Daniel. But he's dearly, dearly missed, and his performance in Moses was absolutely amazing. And I thought about him all the time when I was on stage, all the time.
Yes, it's the best Moses. The best Moses.
Yeah.
That boy is the vocal range of the character. Oh, I love that show. I love the show. I want to be
No,
Moses.
so, but then when I arrived to that level, I was like, how can I be unique? How can I show myself? Because no one can be better than Daniel Levy as Moses. So I had to find a way. So I was like, okay, where I think I can bring something is in the acting, because Daniel told me I was really not an actor. Like I could move one arm there, but that was it.
Hmm.
But the rest, I approach it as a singer. So I approach really the part of Moses as a Shakespearean role, really. So that's really the way where I think I made it unique in a way, with all modesty aside. But that was really what I wanted also to bring to that character, because that character is definitely a Shakespearean character.
Of
It could
course.
be Richard III, it could be Othello, it could be Shylock, it's a mix of so many characters that actually even now I'm writing a big article about Moses being a Shakespearean role.
And you direct this off Broadway, the Commandments.
Yes, I directed, I did the adaptation, I produced, and I did Moses.
And
Nothing I
it
didn't do.
it's a small piece. The other was huge in
Oh
a
yeah, no,
stadium,
no.
and I saw that videos. It's a small play.
Yeah, it's smaller theater, but actually, I'm glad you're saying that. Is that part of the work of the adaptation, whether it was the lyrics or the dialogues, or condensing the story, or even staging it, was also to make that big show, which was reduced, which was done for stadium, to bring it into a show that can fit any theater. And the story is very challenging. Like the sea that opens, how do you do that on stage that
Yes.
is believable? So it was the acting plus also some effect that I had in the back with some projections of video. But the pyramids and all of that, how do you bring pyramids on stage? So it was very, very important for me to bring that show into theater, because the biggest problem that the producer they had of the original is that they were the only one who could produce it. No, the theater could produce it because it was too big. So that was also what people really liked. The authors that I did was actually to make it more human, regular scale. So that was for me a beautiful result, definitely.
And would you like to play Javert?
Oh yeah, I did it actually, Javert, once. Yeah, but a small, very small concert thing. But it's definitely a role that I would love to do. And the older I get, the better I understand who is Javert, and my voice gets even better for Javert every day. So we'll see. Before I thought I was more Jean Valjean, but now I'm definitely Javert, definitely.
Yeah, and where are the songs that you would like to sing the most in all of your concerts? You
Oh, well, I will say If I Were a Rich Man is definitely one of my favorite songs, because it makes my voice happy. You know what I mean? It makes my voice happy. I love to sing Old Man River. It's a very emotional song for me, and it's really like it fits me well. But yeah, I said these two, and of course, Man of La Mancha. I Don Quixote, but also the quest, the
The
impossible
quest
dream.
to
Oh
dream
yeah,
the impossible dream, to
yeah,
fight the unbeatable foe. Ah,
yeah. You're doing better.
the
You're doing good.
unbearable sorrow. To run where the brave do not go. This is my quest to follow the star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how
Yeah.
far. I love that tune.
Oh, yeah. No, no. You do like Brian Strokes Mitchell.
Yeah.
No matter how hopeless. So that I played it in Paris, Don Quixote in 2012, and it was one of my um, favorite role. I thought I was maybe too young to play it, but I realized that you're not too young to play Don Quixote, because you anybody can identify to Don Quixote as someone who follows his dreams, who believes in his dreams. That's really one of the beauty of that musical, definitely.
David, let's talk about your present and your next projects.
Oh, well, so many. So right now, I'm finishing a tour in Latin America, which I was very excited about. I know I'm coming back to Argentina in March. So yeah, it would be at Fundación Beethoven, but there would be other performances. So I will, of course, tell you. But I have something very big, very dear to me, which is the opening of the Opéra Royal du Maroc, which is the Royal Opera of Morocco, which I created, which is the first opera company of the history of Morocco, one of the maybe two or three in the whole continent of Africa. And this is like really a very serious and big opera company. So finding new Moroccan opera singers, but also training them, because not everybody is like born naturally to a solist level, and also creating new work, in Darija, which is the Moroccan language. So that is for me very, very important. And we have the first gala that is on November 30th. So there will be a lot of that, and I have to finish the cast album recording of the Ten Commandments, the one in English. Then I have now 8 movies in production that I'm
Eight
directing.
movies.
8 movies, yeah. Because the first one I did was very successful about Elita Hari. So now I have 8, and one gets me to another project. So I never say no to work. So, but it's kind of easier when you have more movies, actually. So I'm working a lot on that, on the editing, on the filming, on the scheduling. It's really cool. So that's a lot of what I do, and I have a lot of shows coming also. And plus, I have a big movie that is going to the Cannes Film Festival in May. So, I have a festival about Napoleon.
And when you sleep.
And never.
Wow, wow. I admire you. And
Oh no, I admire you, brother. Thank you, brother.
here in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, it's very difficult to find people who want to produce, and it's very, very, very difficult.
Anywhere in the world, it's difficult.
Yeah, yes, it
That's
is.
how I started to produce, because I didn't want to wait that someone has the idea to put me with somebody else, or me to work with the people I love and to play the pieces I love. So that's how I started, to.
Yeah, I do that like you. And
Yeah.
when the people says no, no, I say yes, and made my own shows,
Yeah, of course, of course.
my
That's
own
the right
things.
way to do it. But sometimes I also hear why it's a no. It's always very important. It's not no and goodbye. With me, it's never like that. I always want to know, oh, I'm not interested. Sorry, can I know why you're not interested? What you don't like about the project? And when people tell you that, you're like, maybe I didn't think about it. So it happens that people told me, no, you shouldn't do it. And I did it. And after I was like, oh, okay, I should have. And people told me, don't do it. And I did it. It was a big success. So it all depends. Everything you do is a failure if you don't learn from it, and if you don't invest into the relationships that you have with people, whether it's your other actors, whether it's the people who hire you, whether it's your director, your producer, or your audience member. You know, I have audience member who write me all the time. They're like, hey, why don't you do a show about that? Or I love your show of these, you know, my friends, they want to come to see it again, etc., etc. So, you know, it's part of your personality. You know, me, I'm always like, want to greet people after the show, want to meet them, and they are my clients, you know, in a way. So I also want to know, I want them to be happy for sure.
Yeah, I think it will be uh, too expensive to create a show for Broadway, not an off-Broadway. But who knows? Maybe.
No, I mean, look, the economy is very different for Broadway show or off-Broadway shows, you know. So Broadway, maybe you see more money, but the expenses are very, very strong. You know, like a Broadway show, by example, every week you have $250,000 just to pay the salaries, you know, plus you have the insurance, plus you have the authors to pay. The, you know, plus all the initial investment, which are the lightings, which are the costumes, which are the sets, the sound equipment, and you need tons of marketing. You know, you need tons of advertising. This costs a fortune. You know, so trust me, it's also very, very expensive. So off Broadway is the same, except with smaller numbers. You know, and one thing that I really love with off Broadway, that's why, you know, I forgot who wrote that, if it was MSN or Yahoo, they called me the king of off Broadway, which I thought
Yeah,
was great.
I used to
But
be the
yeah,
king of all Broadway.
yeah, because at some point, like until COVID, I was doing 8 to 10 off Broadway productions per season, you know, which was a lot, plus all the concerts and dinner theater that I produced at that time. But what I love is also the format of the off Broadway. You know, it's not having 50 actors on the stage, because when you want to change something, it's more complicated. You know, so I like the idea to, before each performance, to give notes and to understand what happened on the previous show and how to make it better, and to really, you know, work with the actors without having, you know, all the all the legal around, you know. So I mean, all the issues that you can have, and you know, that's also why I love off Broadway. I can do Broadway, it's not a problem. I can produce Broadway, but off Broadway is really my scene and also my crowd. I know how to sell it. I know how to put it together. I know how to produce it, and I know how to find the good titles. When I went from Paris to New York, I really, really had to work 10 times more. So after, it's not like, oh, I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. Is that you perform into a crowd that is not even the same one of your country, you know, that, you know, they don't, my native language is not English. So you learn, and people say you, oh, who is that guy who is not from here and thinks that he can, you know, do our job, you know. So which I experienced it even to this day. You know, I have, unfortunately, this kind of a
Well, thank you for your time, and I wish maybe someday we could do something together.
brother, anytime. And if you come to New York, I will have you sing with me if you agree. I would love to have you on stage, and I will introduce you as my brother from Buenos Aires, you know. And
Yeah.
I come back, I think it's in March. They're going to tell me the date soon, but I would love that you and I would do a duet or something like that in
Yes. Yes.
concert,
Yes.
man. It would be so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
thank you.
well.
And I really want to say thank you to you. Thank you for all you do. And really a big, 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 big beso to all your audience member, Sonidos de Broadway, your wonderful audience, and all these passionates of Broadway musicals in Argentina and Buenos Aires. It's really, really a pleasure to exist in front of them. So I hope they come to the show also in the future. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, Thank you very much. David Serero, a big applause.
To you, to you,
Thank
to you, to you.